Chapel on Highway 21 in Sylacauga and the Childersburg Chapel on Highway 280 in Childersburg for pre-need funerals, burials, or cremation since 1975. Curtis & Son Funeral Home, 256-245-4361. Curtis & Son Funeral Home, Sylacauga, Childersburg. Mrs. Catherine Gresham died last night at her residence, Curtis & Son Funeral Home, North Chapel, announcing the arrangements. Betty Jo Steen Bullock, age 83, died December the 16th. There will be a graveside service at Blue Eye Cemetery in Lincoln today at 3 o'clock. Brother Jackie Bentley officiating. The family will hold a private visitation. Kilgore Funeral Home in Pell City in charge of the arrangements. Funeral service for Heather Renee Goggins Gromas, age 32, of Sylacauga, will be Saturday at 2 o'clock at Radley Smith Funeral Home Chapel with the Reverend Rodney Frost officiating. Burial in the Evergreen Cemetery. Heather passed away Thursday at Coosa Valley Medical Center. Visitation Saturday prior to the service, 11 until 2 at the funeral home. Radley Smith Funeral Home, Sylacauga directing. Funeral service for Mr. Coley Whetstone Jr. of Goodwater. That service will be today at 1 o'clock from Armours Memorial Chapel in Alexander City with burial in the adjoining cemetery. Armours Memorial Funeral Home directing. Funeral service for Miss Betty P. Royal Brooks of Coosa County is Saturday. That will be at Armours Memorial Chapel in Alexander City, and that service begins at 1 o'clock. Burial in the Peace and Goodwill Baptist Church Cemetery in Kelladon. Visitation today, 4 until 7 at the funeral home. Armours Memorial Funeral Home directing. Memorial service for Joanne Thompson Duncan, age 69, will be Saturday at Alpine Baptist Church with the Reverend Dylan Rigg officiating. Visitation with the family at Alpine Baptist Church starting at 11:30. Service begins at noon on Saturday. Ms. Duncan was a member of the Alpine Baptist Church and also the First Baptist Church in Talladega. She was a salutatorian of her graduating class at Wetterboro High School and achieved a master's degree in education from the University of Montevallo and taught in Talladega City School System for over 33 years. In lieu of flowers, the family requests a memorial donation be made either to the Parkinson Association of Alabama or to the Alpine Baptist Church Cemetery Fund, P.O. Box 77, Alpine 35014. Miller Funeral Home and Crematory in Oxford directing. Funeral service for Jean Hewitt Lackey, age 97, is today at 11 o'clock from Munford Baptist Church. Graveside service and burial to follow for the family at Pine Hill Memorial Park in Talladega. Pastor John Harris officiating. Ursery Funeral Home in Talladega directing. Visitation tomorrow morning as well, or this morning as well, at Munford Baptist Church. In lieu of flowers, contribution could be made to the Munford Baptist Church, P.O. Box 129, Munford, Alabama 36268. Ursery Funeral Home, Talladega directing. Homegoing celebration for Mr. James Elisha Heath Sr., age 92, is noon Saturday at Terry's Mortuary Chapel with the Reverend B.G. Springer delivering the eulogy. Interment at 10:15 Monday at Alabama National Cemetery in Montevallo. Visitation is today, 1 until 7 o'clock at the funeral home. And Mr. Heath was a veteran of the Korean War conflict and discharged July the 22nd, 1954. Terry's Metropolitan Mortuary directing. Celebration remembering the life of Mr. Michael Anthony Pitts, formerly of Vincent, is Saturday at 1 o'clock from Liberty Christian Church with Pastor Theangelo Perkins officiating. Interment in the Bakers Grove Church Cemetery. Public viewing for Mr. Pitts at the church 1 hour prior to the service. He was a former NFL football player, and he played for the Patriots and also the Falcons and the Eagles, and ended up being an interim head coach at Morris Brown College. That is Mr. Michael Anthony Pitts, formerly of Vincent, Alabama. And homegoing service for Mr. Arnold Earl Spadell, age 55, of Talladega, will be Saturday at 3 o'clock from S.M. Goodson Funeral Home Chapel with Pastor Samuel Holt officiating. Public viewing today, 2 until 7 at the funeral home. S.M. Goodson Funeral Home and Crematory in charge of the arrangements. This obituary report this morning brought to you by Curtis & Son Funeral Home, Sylacauga, Childersburg.